I never imagined that fixing a stranger's heat would lead to an unbelievable twist in our lives. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The chill in the air seeped deep into my bones as I approached the rickety old house. The paint was peeling, the windows clouded. My heart raced when I knocked. No answer. Just silence. It felt eerie, like the house itself was holding its breath. Then, the door creaked open. A frail woman stood before me, eyes wide, trembling hands clutching a fraying shawl. "Please," she whispered. "It's been days." I stepped into the dim light, the warmth flickering on the edges of my consciousness. Her living room was cluttered with stacks of newspapers, the musty smell wrapping around me like a blanket of despair. As I knelt by her furnace, the heat rising, I noticed an old photograph tucked between the floorboards, faded, mysterious faces staring back at me. Who were they? The woman's voice broke my trance. "My husband, he left that day," said had found something important. Her eyes teared up, and I felt the weight of her sorrow. With every turn of the wrench, the atmosphere thickened. The furnace sputtered and groaned, an old beast awakening. The woman's breath quickened. "He thought he could save us," she murmured. My palms were slick with sweat, heart pounding like a war drum. What secret did this place hold? Just then, a loud bang echoed from the attic, shaking the dusty rafters. I froze. The woman's face turned ashen. "It's never made that noise before." Her voice trembled, a feathery whisper threatening to fade into silence. I felt a tightness in my chest. My instincts screamed for me to leave, but curiosity anchored me to the spot. Suddenly, the furnace roared to life, filling the room with an unexpected warmth. The woman gasped, and just as I turned to check on her, I caught a glimpse of movement out of the corner of my eye. The attic door was ajar, shadows dancing inside, beckoning me closer. I felt a rush of conflicting emotions, fear and intrigue battling within me. What was hidden up there? Then, the floorboards creaked underfoot, and I knew the moment had come. Would I dare to open that door? My heart raced, thundering in my ears. Everything in me screamed to run, but something drew me forward, a pull deeper than fear. The unknown. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The attic door loomed larger than life, the crack with disguising secrets long buried. Each step toward the threshold felt like an eternity, anxiety swirling in my gut. I could still hear the furnace's gentle hum, a fragile comfort amidst the tension. There was a pull to uncover the shadows, not just of the attic, but of the woman's story, of the vanished husband, of the connection that suddenly felt so vital. As I pushed the attic door further open, a gust of stale air brushed against my face. I hesitated for a moment, allowing my eyes to adjust to the dim light filtering in. Soft light from my phone illuminated scattered boxes, cobwebs clinging to corners like brittle memories. My pulse quickened as I stepped inside, the floorboards creaking beneath my weight, every sound amplified in the silence. At first, nothing seemed out of the ordinary, but then I noticed the boxes weren't just filled with old clothes and forgotten trinkets. They were marked with names that echoed like a soft siren call. My heart sank as I recognized her surname on one of them, and my instinct urged me to dig deeper. I knelt before the cardboard container, my fingers trembling as I peeled back the flaps. Inside lay a collection of faded letters, their edges frayed, words scrawled in elegant cursive. Hesitating, I picked one up, the paper whispering secrets of love and longing. As I read, The words unfurled a tale of passion and desperation between the woman and her husband, each letter painted in strokes of hope clashing with despair. I can't wait for you any longer, one letter began, ink smudged where tears had fallen. I am certain the key to our future lies in unlocking the past. I felt as if I were intruding on something sacred, my heart aching for the sorrow laced within those forgotten pages. The letters chronicled the husband's obsession with an untraceable treasure and inheritance rumored to hold power beyond time. Each sentiment resounding with her longing, a bridge across the years that had now become a chasm. Behind me, the woman's voice trembled through the remnants of the silence. He believed so fiercely, but I didn't understand. I thought he would come back. Pain etched across her features, transforming her frail form into one burdened by years of anticipation. I turned to her, surprised to see tears rolling down her cheeks, glistening like sunlight on water. In that moment, I understood that her husband's choices echoed far beyond this forgotten home. They rippled through her life, defining it with their absence. I didn't want him to feel trapped, she whispered, regret heavy in her tone. But I never thought I was losing him. A shard of empathy pierced through the chaos within me. I reached out for her hand, our fingers entwined, two strangers united by a phantom of the past. Can we uncover what he sought? I asked, feeling an unexpected resolve brewing beneath my uncertainty. Her gaze flickered with hope, yet quickly dimmed, shadows quirking across her face. I don't know if it will bring him back, but she hesitated, am afraid of what we might find. What if he wanted to get away from me? As the question hung between us, the air thick with vulnerability, the attic creaked again, sending a shiver coursing through my spine. I glanced back at the boxes, feeling urgency settle within me. It was only then I noticed a faint light glimmering from the far corner, illuminating a small latch hidden behind a tattered quilt. This could be what he was searching for, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. As I approached the light, my heart thundered in my chest, anticipation dancing with fear. Would we open a door to hope, or merely a path leading to further heartache? In that moment, the world outside faded as I reached for the latch, trepidation coursing through my veins. With a swift motion, I pulled it open, and as the hidden compartment swung free, my breath caught in my throat at the sight before me. A dusty, ancient journal lay in wait, bound in cracked leather. As I lifted it from its resting place, I felt an inexplicable connection surge between us. What we might discover next could shatter her world even further, but it could also piece together a puzzle lost in time. But before I could open it, a loud crash echoed from downstairs, reverberating through the walls, the sound of the front door being violently flung open. My heart raced as I realized we weren't alone anymore. Someone was here, and whatever was about to happen next could change everything. As the echo of the crash faded, an unsettling silence enveloped the attic, punctuating the tension hanging in the air. My mind raced through a myriad of possibilities. Who could it be? A figure from the woman's past? A trespasser with ill intentions? Whatever the reason, the sense of encroaching danger was palpable. I exchanged a frantic glance with her, her eyes wide, shimmering with fear and confusion. We need to hide, she breathed, her voice trembling. I nodded, a rush of adrenaline shooting through me as I quickly scanned the cramped attic for a place to conceal ourselves. There was nowhere to run in this cramped space. Our only refuge was behind the stacks of boxes we had yet to search through. We shuffled behind them, our breaths synchronized in anxious anticipation, straining to hear the muffled sounds below. Heavy footsteps thundered through the first floor, and I could almost feel the vibration shuddering through the wood beneath us. As we huddled there, the woman's fingers intertwined with mine, grounding me amidst the chaos. I wished desperately for the words to comfort her, to promise her safety, but silence encased us, wrapping its icy fingers around our hearts. I could see the fear mirrored in her eyes, flooding her with the memories of abandonment and perhaps something worse. Suddenly, a loud voice broke through the tumult. "Elizabeth!" The name cut through the air like a knife, and I recognized it as the woman's, the one I had only learned moments ago. "We know you're up there. You can't hide forever." I felt her flinch at the sound, her body rigid against mine. "It's him," she whispered, horror dipping her voice into a chilling tremor. "He's back." Time seemed to stretch as I contemplated the implications of this revelation, while dread coiled tightly around my chest. This was her husband, the man whose shadow had loomed so large in her memory, the reason for the endless ache in her heart. But what had he become after all these years? And what would it mean for Yusuf if he were to step into this space we had created between us? Footsteps crashed up the stairs, making the very walls tremble. The sound grew louder, faster, and I could feel the urgency pressing down on me. I wanted to bolt from our hiding place and face the man who had haunted her dreams. But with each labored breath, the reality of our predicament became clearer. I was a stranger amidst a storm that was never mine to quiet. My resolve shattered just as the door to the attic flew open, swinging wide with a force that made us both startle. There he stood, a figure cast against the dimness, his silhouette imposing yet familiar enough to send a shiver of recognition through the air. "Elizabeth!" he shouted, desperation laced through his voice, yet there was something unhinged in the way he stood, wild and unkempt. "I'm sorry. I've come back. I found it." He stepped into the attic, the light spilling around him like dark and glory. The journal I had been clutching slipped from my grip and hit the floor, the thud striking an unholy chord of dread. I hadn't noticed the tears rolling down Elizabeth's cheeks until she whispered, "You shouldn't have come back." Her husband's face twisted in an expression I couldn't decipher, a tornado of regret intertwined with fervent excitement. "But I had to. I found the treasure. The key to everything." His words hung in the air, dripping with hope yet saturated with quintessence of pain. An invisible thread twisted through the space that bounced between the three of us, binding us together in a tangled web of unresolved emotions. In an instant, the attic felt too small. I felt like an intruder in a story that was decades in the making, a complex melody I had only just begun to decipher. The spirit of longing laced into Elizabeth's past surged forth, threatening to engulf us all. "Did you find what you were looking for?" she asked, though her voice bore the weight of a lifetime's worth of longing and hurt. Her husband took a step closer, that glimmer of excitement ignited in his eyes. "It's bigger than I thought. We can't waste time. I need your help, Elizabeth. Together, we can unlock everything." And there was the crux of it all, a choice that would slice through their fragile history like a knife. In that moment, I could see the threads of kinship entwining with the past, yet the risk of heartbreak loomed like shadows ready to swallow us whole. "We're going to find it," he declared, his fervor nearly manic. "But I need you." A choice loomed before her like an unquestionable darkness, one that could either lead to healing the wounds of the past or tearing open the scars anew. Just then, I caught a glimpse of movement behind him, a shadow falling across the doorway. My heart plummeted as a voice, low and sinister, whispered, "You think you're the only one searching for it?" The dark figure stepped into the light, a cruel smile dancing across their lips, illuminating a set of eyes that sparkled with ulterior motives. My breath caught in my throat, as dread clawed at the edges of my sanity. In an age-old conflict reinvented, we were about to embark on a quest wrapped in chaos. Every choice could mean salvation or ruin. And as Elizabeth's gaze darted between her past and present, I knew that whatever path she chose could shatter the world we had built in only a few fleeting hours. The attic, once filled with echoes of love, now thrummed with uncertainty, leaving me to wonder, was unlocking the past truly the key to their future, or just a Pandora's box waiting to unleash its wrath? The room trembled as the stranger loomed in the doorway, a specter of intent cloaked in shadows. The air was thick with palpable tension, and I could feel the hairs on my arms stand at attention, caught between my instinct to protect Elizabeth and the lure of the unknown that her husband's reappearance had ignited. "Who are you?" the stranger demanded, his voice like gravel dragging across glass. What do you know about her past? I felt Elizabeth flinch beside me, her grip on my hand tightening until I thought it might hurt. Her husband's eyes darted wildly, sensing the shift in the atmosphere, his own excitement rapidly draining away. "This doesn't concern you," he yelled defiantly, but the confidence in his voice trembled like a candle's flicker. The stranger stepped forward, and I instinctively moved to shield Elizabeth, feeling an inexplicable urge to stand between them. "You don't understand, do you?" he said, an amused smirk playing on his lips. "This isn't just about lost love or hidden treasures. There are things that go far deeper, dark secrets buried in silence. What do you want?" I pressed, my heart pounding, desperation suffusing my voice. "What do you know about her?" Elizabeth, drawing from some deep well of courage, said. "You're scaring him, don't you see? He's done nothing wrong." Her voice, strong yet vulnerable, intrigued and frightened me all at once. She was stepping into the void, plunging into a past she had closed off for so long, but I couldn't let her face it alone. The stranger's expression shifted, an unsettling mixture of pity and derision washing over his face. "You think you protect her? Both of you are treading in waters you can't begin to fathom." He directed his attention back to Elizabeth. "You know he's not who he says he is, don't you? You feel it, don't you?" Her breath hitched, and for the slightest moment, uncertainty flickered in her eyes. "What do you mean?" she whispered, the tremor in her voice betraying her facade of strength. "Trust your instincts, Elizabeth," I urged softly, willing her to see through the fear tangled in the stranger's taunts. "We have to figure this out together." The husband's expression morphed into a mask of anger and hurt. "You don't understand anything." He took a step back, conflicted emotions wrestling within him. "I'm here for you. I came back to help to make it right." Elizabeth shook her head slowly, the waterworks she fought against breaking free at last. "I need the truth. Who are you? Who do you think you are to rattle my life like this?" She looked between them, turmoil swirling deep within her soul. "Maybe it's easy to believe the stories of our past when we're scared of the unknown. But who are we now? I come seeking something I lost," he rasped, defeated yet fierce. "Something that could save us both." His gaze locked onto hers, raw desperation evident in every line of his face. Suddenly, the stranger took a deliberate step toward Elizabeth, shrouded in an air of menace. "He doesn't know what he's playing at, does he? You're in danger." "No!" I yelled, slipping further in front of her, desperation igniting fierce protectiveness. "Get away from her." But my resolve faltered as Elizabeth's gaze shifted to her husband, longing and fear swirling together. "What are you hiding?" she pressed, her voice now steady but quivering at the edges, filled with an insatiable need for clarity. "The past hides a truth you aren't ready for," he said, his chest heaving with conflicted emotion. "It spirals too deep, Elizabeth. But if you come with me, we can find the answers together." I could feel the air suffocate me, tension wrapping tighter as I fought not to lose Elizabeth to the siren call of her past. She was cradled within a tempest, and I struggled to be her anchor, but the darkness beckoned her too. "Don't you see? He's trying to manipulate you." He spun around, fury etched in his features. "You think you can understand her better than I do? Every moment we lost, every wound I carried, it was because of me." Elizabeth's breath caught, her heart visibly splitting as a wave of raw emotion cascaded across her features. "You left," she shouted, the pain of their history rising like a hallowed scream. "You said you would protect me, but you disappeared into the shadows." Silence filled the attic, heavy with the weight of unspoken confessions. The storm raged inside her, tearing at the seams of her resolve. Then the stranger smirked, a chilling laugh echoing through the space. "Shall I enlighten you both?" Before I could respond, he drew a small, ornate box from within his jacket, the air thickening with unspoken tension. "Inside this box lies the truth and the key to truly understanding your past, Elizabeth." My heart raced, apprehension colliding with curiosity. "What's inside that box?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper, every instinct screaming to turn away. Elizabeth's eyes widened, her voice trembling as she spoke. "I don't know if I'm ready for that." "Then you must decide now," he taunted, that dark smile ever present. "To uncover the past, or to remain shackled in its haunting shadows." As she stood frozen between us, faced with the greatest choice of her life, I could feel the very universe shift. The attic reeked of unrest, my heart thundering with the weight of a revelation lurking just out of reach. The choice hung in the air like the thick silence of a storm, electric and alive. One decision could unravel everything. And as Elizabeth's gaze flickered from the stranger to her husband to me, I caught myself wondering, in a world caught between love and fear, would she have the strength to step into the light or remain lost in darkness forever? The air in the attic hung heavy, a tangible weight pressing down on all of us. Elizabeth stood at the center, her brow furrowed in concentration, yet shaken by the truths swirling around her like leaves in a tempest. The ornate box flickered in the dim light, beckoning her, promising both clarity and chaos. "Elizabeth," I said, my voice rising against the suffocating silence, "whatever's in that box, we'll face it together. I won't let you go through this alone." Her gaze darted back to me, desperation softening her features, but the pull of the stranger's words hung like a thread she was too drawn to cut. The husband stood behind her, his expression torn between desperation and longing. "Don't trust him," he said, his voice full of urgency. "You don't know what he's capable of, or what you're capable of," the stranger retorted, his voice dripping with disdain. "You can't protect her from a past you've run from. You don't even know the truth of your own involvement." The tension escalated, raw and unyielding, as Elizabeth took a hesitant step toward the box, drawn in by an unexplainable instinct. I felt panic surge within me. "Elizabeth, please don't!" But she was listening to something deeper, some instinct buried within her that urged her to uncover the truth. "I have to know," she whispered, as much to herself as to us. "Is knowing worth the pain it may bring?" the stranger asked, his eyes alight with a predatory curiosity. "You may learn more than you ever bargained for." The room crackled with tension, and my heart raced at the thought of the secrets waiting within that box. I could see Elizabeth's determination waver, battling against the fear that had shadowed her for so long. "Elizabeth," I pleaded softly, "no matter what happens, you are not alone. The truth may hurt, but we can choose to face it together, step by step." With a shallow breath, she paused, glancing between us as emotions collided like waves crashing against cliffs. What if it's too late for me?" Her voice quivered, eyes glistening with unshed tears, a haunting vulnerability that pulled at my heart. "It's never too late," I said fiercely, my gaze unwavering. "You deserve to know who you are now, not just who you were. Well, figure it out together." In that moment, I could see a flicker of hope burrowed within her, but it was tenuous, wavering against the tide of uncertainty. As if sensing the shift, the stranger leaned in closer, frowning. "You both are drowning in naivety," he spat, his voice sharp enough to cut. "Why are you doing this?" Elizabeth asked, taking another hesitant step. "What do you even want from me?" "A reckoning, perhaps," he replied, a twisted smile creeping onto his face. "Or maybe just to release you from the chains of a man who feigns protection whilst dragging darkness in his wake." "Stop!" her husband shouted, his anger flaring, the sorrow weaving through his voice. "Enough!" I interjected, cutting through the chaos that threatened to consume us. "Let's not turn this into a trial. We don't need to point fingers right now. It's not about blame, it's about healing. Sorry, pardon me, finding the way forward." A sudden thought struck me as the stranger's playful confidence started to twist into something more desperate. "What do you mean about a reckoning?" He hesitated, and for an instant, a shadow flickered behind his eyes, revealing something deeper in emotion, so distant it felt alien. The truth is a cycle, and if you don't break it, it will consume you. My past doesn't define me anymore. Elizabeth snapped, her voice steadying. No more hiding. The moment was fragile, hope's flame shimmering between us, like a candle about to be snuffed out by the wind. Then take this step, Elizabeth, the stranger urged, his voice softening. Open this box, and you'll see how deeply your past intertwines with this very moment. You may find that you are not as free as you believe. It all hung on Elizabeth's choice, a single breath away from liberation or entrapment. The swell of emotion within me felt overwhelming, a mantra echoing in my heart. Don't leave her side. Don't let her go. Elizabeth reached for the box, fingers trembling. Just as she acted, a sharp knock resounded through the attic, shattering the thickness of our anticipation. We all turned, startled, as the door swung open. In the frame stood a silhouette coated in the glow of daylight, a stranger bearing secrets of their own. "Am looking for Elizabeth," the figure declared, their voice a blend of uncertainty and urgency, leaving us suspended, poised at the brink of unraveling. Time stood still as Elizabeth's hand pulled back from the box, fear and curiosity dancing in her eyes. In that breath, the realization settled heavily upon us. We were no longer just facing the shadows of her past, but another entangled fate that could alter everything we thought we knew. The moment the door swung open, the weight of the attic morphed, as if the air had been sucked out, leaving only the chill of uncertainty in its wake. Elizabeth's gaze met the newcomer's, raw and wide-eyed, and for a brief heartbeat, it felt as though the world had narrowed down just to the two of them. "Who are you?" Elizabeth's voice, tinged with both caution and vulnerability, barely reached the threshold of the thickening silence. I could see her heart thrumming beneath the surface of her skin, a nervous energy humming in the stillness. "Kate," the stranger said, brushing a loose strand of hair behind her ear, the gesture subtly revealing a strength masked by the timidity of her entrance. "Am a friend of your father's." The words landed like stones in the air. Elizabeth recoiled slightly, an audible breath escaping, as if the name had struck a bruise just beneath the surface. "My father?" The confusion was palpable, each syllable heavy and disbelieving. "Yes. I only just learned of everything. I didn't know how to reach you before this," Kate hurried, her eyes darting nervously around the attic, finally settling on the ornate box with its alluring mystique. "I heard there were truths waiting to be uncovered, and—" "Stop!" Elizabeth snapped, the fragility shed just begun to rebuild, fracturing beneath the weight of new dread. "You brought nothing but more questions. I've been trying to find out who I am, and now you're telling me about a father I didn't even know." The tension sparked anew, buoyed by this unexpected revelation, as Elizabeth's husband stepped forward, protective instinct flaring. "You need to leave. This is between us." "No," Elizabeth insisted, firming her stance as an unexpected fire illuminated her expression. "You can't just shut people out. This is my life. If she has something to say, I deserve to hear it. Don't," he warned, his eyes pleading, as if he could pull her back from the precipice. But she stood resolute, her spirit forging bridges where before there had only been walls. Kate remained quiet, almost reverent in the presence of Elizabeth's burgeoning strength. For a moment, I caught a flicker of understanding blossom in the air around Thima's shared bond of unwritten stories, burning with the heat of unexpressed love and loss. "I know this is a lot to take in. But your father, he was searching for you," Kate continued cautiously. "He didn't abandon you. He was trying to protect you from something dangerous." A shard of uncertainty pierced Elizabeth's defenses, her composure shaking under the weight of her own past. "Protect me from what? What could possibly be so terrifying that my own father kept his distance?" Her voice quivered, raw edges softly crumbling away under the tenderness of truth. Kate glanced at the strange figure lingering in the shadows, a tension palpable in the air, as if the walls themselves listened for secrets yet untold. I can't tell you everything right now. But your father had his reasons. Reasons tied to a family secret that could change how you see your entire life. Say what you need to say, Elizabeth pushed, though I could see the unraveling thread of control in her shoulders, the storm brewing just beneath her surface, ready to burst forth. The dangers. Kate hesitated, swallowing hard as the gravity of her words pressed down upon her. They have been chasing him for years. And now if you find out the truth, it may put you in their crosshairs too. A moment of silence enveloped us, heavy like an impending storm. The weight of unknown danger loomed ominously, intertwining with the flickers of hope that had begun to ignite within Elizabeth. As fear battled against a visceral need to confront her past, I reached for her hand, not wanting to let go, even as I felt her tremble. You don't have to face anything alone, Elizabeth, I whispered, searching her eyes for the strength to continue. But the moment was shattered again when Elizabeth turned back towards the box, eyebrows knitting together as determination sparked anew. What if I want to know? What if the questions hurt, but the answers could offer me something worth fighting for? Not all knowledge is liberating, the stranger warned, his voice unyielding like granite. You don't truly understand what you might unleash. The truth is waiting, Elizabeth said, a flicker of bravery igniting in her gaze. Whether it's in that box or with Kate's knowledge, I have to know. Now, more than ever. Suddenly, the air thickened again, filled with a tension that felt like a tightrope strung high above the chasms of despair and hope. As Elizabeth stepped back toward the ornate box amidst the gathered shadows, I noticed Kate stiffen, a fleeting fear passing through her features. Elizabeth, please, think this through, Kate began to urge, but the words turned soft and desperate in the face of the inevitable. Before the box could be opened, another knock at the door resounded, louder this time, an insistent grievance that shattered the fragile moment yet again. I felt my heart race, each beat aligning with the unspoken dread hanging between us like a looming dark cloud. What now? I murmured, feeling the weight of someone else's choices closing in on us. Elizabeth's hand hovered above the box, her breath shallow and rapid. My life has never been a simple choice, she uttered, steeling herself. Am not going to let fear decide for me. With a final glance at Kate, who seemed petrified, Elizabeth took a breath and reached for the box again. And then the door swung inward, casting cold light upon our fragile gathering, as a third figure stepped into the room. A frail elder, his eyes dark pools filled with secrets, towering just above the threshold of our shared despair. Elizabeth, he whispered, voice trembling like autumn leaves in a gusting wind, it's time we talked about your father. And with that, the attic, once a cocoon of shadows and whispers, tipped into an open storm, the secrets unraveling closer than any of us had ever imagined possible. As the frail elder stepped into the attic, the air thickened, quaking under the weight of unspoken histories. His presence, a mix of fragility and urgency, sent a shiver down my spine. Elizabeth's fingers trembled as she clutched the ornate box, her spirit aflame with a desire to know. And yet, fear lingered just behind her bravado. Please, you need to listen, the man pleaded, his voice a hoarse whisper laced with desperation. There's so much at stake, and every moment wasted means more shadows closing in. What do you know about my father? Elizabeth asked, her resolve wavering under the weight of anguish and uncertainty. The glow from the attic window painted her face a canvas of naivety and courage clashing in vivid strokes. The man took a hesitant step forward, his eyes darting between Kate and Elizabeth, as though they held the keys to a door he had long tried to keep closed. Your father's choices, they were not always his. There are forces at play, things you're not prepared to face, he said, his voice wavering with each syllable. The quiet urgency in his tone pricked at my heart, amplifying the fear dancing behind Elizabeth's fierce resolve. I don't need you to protect me, she said, her voice steady yet fragile like a tuning fork on the verge of shattering. I need the truth. Kate shifted uncomfortably, her expression a blend of caution and empathy. It's not just about truths, Elizabeth. It's about the implications of wielding those true show lives can shatter in an instant. A flicker of something to memory passed through the elder's eyes, and he straightened, a hint of determination breaking through the weariness of age. Your father, he was searching for you. He made sacrifices, he said, gritting his teeth against the frailty of the past. But those who chased him, they will chase you too, if they find that you hold the key to what he uncovered. Elizabeth's heart raced, the weight of her past colliding with the burgeoning potential of her present. What was he searching for? She breathed, the box still looming before her, a tangible representation of all she yearned to unravel. Answers to a family secret that goes far beyond just bloodlines. He leaned closer, the urgency in his gaze now igniting an even deeper fear. Elena took something from him, a relic of sorts that binds moments in time and can alter our very reality. Who is Elena? Elizabeth pressed, desperation creeping into her voice, battling against the growing storm inside her. Someone powerful, he replied, the heaviness of his admission pressing upon the room. Someone who would kill to keep her secrets. Elizabeth's hands were shaking now, the weight of her world spiraling. I've lost too many people to the unknown. I refuse to let that happen again. The defiance burned brighter, though uncertainty flickered behind her bright eyes, a flame threatening to extinguish in a draft of fear. We all must face it, the elder said gently, a grieving acknowledgment of her pain written on his face. But I can't let you do this alone. I wouldn't be able to bear it. Then what do we do? Kate interjected, her face a mask of cautious hope. We can't just stand here while the past comes crashing down on us, no matter how terrifying. Suddenly, a crash emanated from downstairs, shaking the very floor beneath us. The reverberation sliced through the fragile air, deflating the moment and awakening the urgency that had lain dormant. We have to go. Now! The elder urged, glancing anxiously at the door. Elizabeth's heart raced, fear intertwining with an adrenaline-fueled focus. The box. Leave it! The elder snapped, voice sharp as glass, then softened. I promise. We'll come back for it. In that split second, Elizabeth was faced with a monumental decision, the truth she craved or her safety. She knew she couldn't afford to dwell on the unknown when danger was pressing against the fabric of her very existence. If aware of her turmoil, a shadow moved beyond the threshold, the sudden intrusion of another presence amplifying her trepidation. With eyes wide, Elizabeth turned, heart pounding. What now? She gasped, anxiety crashing over her like waves against a fragile shore. The door swung open further, and a figure stepped into the light, all imposing, cloaked in darkness. You're coming with me, Elizabeth, came the cool, commanding voice, laced with both danger and a twisted familiarity. Time seemed to freeze around us, the fear coiling tighter around Elizabeth's heart and the air thrumming with imminent peril. She glanced back at the elder, who stood ready, protective and fiercely a guardian of whispered secrets, and then at Kate, who silently urged her to choose wisely. Not without a fight, Elizabeth proclaimed, the fire of her spirit ignited anew, shaking off the last vestiges of paralyzing fear. Stepping closer to the elder, she braced herself, heart racing in defiance against the encroaching shadows. I will not be taken against my will again. As the unknown figure advanced, tension thrummed through the attic, a destiny poised for a confrontation that would alter everything. And just as I thought we might stand firm against the tide, the figure's chilling words flowed like ice. You have no idea what you just unleashed, but believe me, I will find out what your father hid from both of you. In that moment, the path of Elizabeth's life twisted irrevocably, cascading towards a revelation that blurred the lines between belonging and betrayal in a crescendo of dread. But as the shadows loomed, a flicker of determination ignited within her, the spirit of a warrior emerging from the ashes of despair. And that flicker could either be a beacon of hope or the precursor to a storm that would break upon us all. The attic door slammed shut, sealing us in a suffocating silence punctuated only by the heavy breathing of our tangled emotions. Elizabeth stood at the forefront, a beacon of both defiance and fear, yet there was an undeniable tension reverberating in the air, a stirring that hinted at the upheaval lurking just beyond our fragile sanctuary. "You will regret this," the figure hissed, stepping closer, the dim light revealing a face cloaked in shadow. An unmistakable chill crawled up my spine as he locked eyes with Elizabeth, an unsettling recognition dancing in his gaze, as if he were both predator and prey in this twisted game of fate. "What do you want from me?" Elizabeth's voice trembled, but it was tinged with a fierce determination that I hadn't seen from her before. Her fists clenched at her sides, grounding her in the stark reality of our situation. "I want what your father promised," he replied, the words slipping from his lips like poison, lacing the attic with an ominous foreboding. "That relic must be returned to its rightful owner or consequences will ensue. Starting with you. I don't know anything about a relic." Elizabeth fired back, her defiance sparking a fleeting moment of camaraderie among us. "You're not taking me anywhere, and you've got no right to threaten us. You underestimate power," he sneered, pointing a long, spindly finger at the elder. "You, too, have deluded yourself into thinking you can protect her. All of this is a mere echo of what you once were. The past that brings you here will soon drown you in its depths." The elder stepped forward, his own fear morphing into an unexpected courage. "You don't know what you're dealing with. You think that by chasing shadows, you can control destiny, but you are merely a puppet dancing to unseen strings, the same strings that led you to this very moment." Suddenly, the figure paused, glancing behind him, his confidence faltering. "This isn't over." "I have patience," he hissed, eyes narrowing like a predator assessing its prey. "You will not be able to escape what is coming. Not when it's tied to your blood." "Why is everyone—" Elizabeth started to shout defiantly, but the figure turned abruptly, gliding back towards the door, his presence a fading specter swathed in menace. "What was that about?" I murmured, the tension so thick I could barely breathe. Had he mentioned blood? It resonated in my mind, filling the air with an unshakable weight, the sharp edges of a truth unspoken hovering just beyond the reach of understanding. "Elizabeth," the elder said softly, his voice steadier now, the weight of his past momentarily lifting. "You are not alone in this. But there are secrets that must be unveiled in time. Secrets that could either protect you or tear you apart. You must learn to navigate them." She looked from the elder to Kate and me, an uncharacteristic mixture of vulnerability and resolve filling her features. "What do we do now?" Elizabeth asked, her voice quieter now, stripped of bravado yet alive with possibility. Before anyone could answer, a loud crash echoed from somewhere in the house, jolting us back into the present. Fear coursed through my veins as I turned towards the stairway, dread settling in my stomach. "We can't hide here forever," I said, forcing my voice to steady. "We need a plan," Kate declared, her eyes darting around the attic, as if searching for clues among the dust and forgotten items piled in corners. "We can't let that man or whatever he is take control of this situation. First, we need to find the box," Elizabeth stated firmly, her earlier confidence shimmering anew in her gaze, ignited by the thought of what could be inside. "If it holds what my father discovered, if it is, in fact, a key, we can learn how to shield ourselves from whatever darkness is set to descend upon us." The elder nodded solemnly. "But you need to understand what you might discover could be more than just the truth of your father. It could change everything." In that moment, Elizabeth took a deep breath, her eyes locking onto the ornate box that had started it all. "I don't care. I need to know who I am. What I'm meant to." As we made our way down the dimly lit staircase, a flicker of hope battled against the shadows lurking in the corners of our minds. We could feel the invisible threads connecting each of us lacing together more tightly with every shaky step we took. But just as we reached the bottom of the staircase, the lights flickered ominously, plunging us momentarily into darkness before they resumed, casting an eerie glow that felt eerily unnatural. And that was when we heard Ida's soft voice, whispering from somewhere deep within the walls of the house, echoing our fears and twisting through our very souls. "Help me." It sent a shiver rippling through us, a chilling resonance of desperation that felt intimately familiar. Elizabeth's heart raced, her face pale. "What was that?" she gasped, eyes widening with latent terror. Someone needs our help," I whispered, the unsettling truth weighing heavier on my chest. "But who? And at what cost?" With fear palpable in the air, we hesitated for only a moment before taking a decisive step toward the terrible unknown, bound together by a fragile thread of hope and desperation. That thread was a promise, a pledge, but it was also a potential unraveling, a warning of what lay before us and the emotional storm that threatened to break free. The house groaned like a living entity, its walls pulsating with the weight of secrets, and the whisper lingered in the air like a mournful echo, urging us forward. Each step was a surrender, a descent into a realm of uncertainty where shadows writhed and danced, beckoning us to uncover the truth. Elizabeth's pulse quickened, mirroring my own dread and guilt. We were unwittingly entangled in moments far beyond our understanding, compelled to confront the past that refused to release its grip. "Help me!" the voice called again, this time more insistent, sending chills racing up my spine. It was a plea fraught with urgency, resonating deeply within the chaotic recesses of my memories. I couldn't shake the feeling that whoever Waver was crying out could be both ally and adversary, a duality that instilled a profound unease. Should we really follow it? Kate murmured, her brow knitted, eyes darting nervously between the thread outside and the summons coming from within the very heart of the house. "It might be a trap," the elder cautioned, placing a steadying hand on Elizabeth's shoulder, his grip a mix of support and restraint. "But it might also reveal what you seek. Understand, Elizabeth, people are often lost not just to darkness, but to the unfathomable fear that lurks within themselves." In that moment, Elizabeth stood still, flickers of determination gripping her deeply conflicted spirit. "No, we can't ignore it. If someone is calling for help, we owe it to them to investigate," she declared, the resolve in her voice igniting a spark among us. "What if it's another trick?" I questioned, dread creeping into my tone. But a potent mix of curiosity and compassion twisted in my gut, demanding to be acknowledged. Elizabeth cast me a look that was both pleading and fierce. "We can't run." "Not again." With a shared breath of understanding swirling among us, we pressed deeper into the belly of the house, moving through darkened hallways that felt imbued with secrets. Every whisper of wind through the cracks bore messages lost to time, and every floorboard creaked with grievances long forgotten. The whisper led us to an alcove tucked away beneath the staircase, swallowed by shadows. Dust motes danced lazily in the newly found glimmer of light spilling through the cracks. The air was thick with something real, something tangible, pulling us further into the unknown. "Help me," the voice crescendoed, clearly coming from behind an old, tattered tapestry that hung like a faded curtain, its colors worn and muted. Elizabeth approached it first, her heart drumming loudly. With trembling hands, she pulled the tapestry aside, revealing a narrow door frame that seemed to shimmer with forgotten energy. It didn't lead anywhere we could see, just a pitch-black void that felt alive, as though something waiting beyond it sensed our presence. "Are we really doing this?" I asked, unable to mask the thrilled terror coursing through my veins. The darkness seemed larger than life, expanding with every heartbeat. "We have to, for them," Elizabeth replied, steeling herself. "This could lead us to the truth." The elder's face was a storm of conflicted emotions, realizing the risks yet gravitating towards the allure of hope. "If we do this, we must remain together. Alone, none will emerge unscathed." We stepped closer, the silence surrounding us an oppressive shroud, and as we did, a flicker of light ignited within the darkness, shapes beginning to materialize. The contours of a figure emerged, faint but unmistakably human, their features hidden within the depths of shadow. "Please," it gasped, voices trembling on the edge of recognition, the same timbre as Elizabeth's, yet distorted by despair. "Elizabeth!" I exclaimed, the enormity of the revelation crashing over me like a tempest. But before I could finish, the figure lunged forward, crashing against the threshold, revealing a face muddied with tears and dirt, a face that mirrored Elizabeth's so strikingly I felt the very air catch in my throat. "Help me," it echoed, spiraling in my mind, as realization dawned. This was a twin she never knew existed, a reflection of her own fears and desires. In that moment, the harsh truth of secrets came crashing down, the consequences of what we had already begun to unravel. The air grew heavier, and a palpable dread began to settle once more. Elizabeth staggered back, shock mingling with confusion, her heart struggling against the weight of a truth she may not have been prepared to hear. What do you mean?" Elizabeth stammered, eyes wide as they darted between us and the glimmering shadow. Before the figure could speak again, the house trembled, the walls vibrating with anger, and the lights flickered violently, plunging us into darkness once more. The whispers escalated, rising to a terrifying crescendo, leaving us with a decision too weighty to bear: retreat into safety or forge ahead into the abyss of the unknown. "Elizabeth," I murmured, my heart racing. "We may have just unleashed something we can't contain." As the echoes grew louder, we locked eyes, the weight of our shared journey weighing heavily upon us. In that horrible moment, we stood on the knife's edge of the past and future, afraid of what lay ahead but desperate for the light within the encroaching darkness. The door creaked ominously, inviting us further into the abyss, where we could either find the light or fall victim to the shadows. And in that haunting silence, time stood still, holding its breath for what was yet to unfold. The silence that enveloped us felt almost sacred, raw with potential and fear. Elizabeth stood frozen, her eyes locked onto the figure, a reflection of herself, full of despair yet shining with a glimmer of hope. It was a puzzle piece long missing, and yet, as the trembling pulse of the house manifested around us, the gravity of the revelation pulled us deeper into the chaotic storm swirling in the air. "Elizabeth!" the figure pleaded, and the voice tugged at the threads of Elizabeth's heart, unraveling the tightly wound fabric of her resolve. "Help me, please." A rush of emotions flooded through her: fear, recognition, but also a stirring of determination that would not be quelled. She stepped forward, a tentative step that echoed with the frequency of 1,000 unasked questions. "I don't understand. Who are you?" The figure seemed to warp, the shadows swirling in a dance that mirrored her anguish, yet beneath it, there was familiarity. "You," the shadow answered softly, the deep timbre infusing the words with an uncanny resonance. "I am what you left behind, the part you stowed away to survive. But I am also the key to your future." As if struck by lightning, Elizabeth recoiled, the weight of that truth hovering so close to the surface. "No. You can't be. I've never known." I couldn't have. Her voice cracked under the pressure, but love and fear intertwined, fueling a spark of resolve within her spirit. The elder stood beside her, his expression shifting from concern to understanding. "What she speaks of is deeper than mere existence, Elizabeth. You share not just blood but burden, harbingers of a legacy that could either destroy or set you free. Your fear has bound you for too long," the figure continued, eyes shimmering with unspoken secrets. "But the truth isn't just a prison. It can guide you to the answers you seek. You can heal if you allow yourself to see all of you, not just the broken parts." Elizabeth's gaze grew fierce, relentless against the tidal wave of emotions threatening to overwhelm her. "How do I begin to face myself? I've spent years running from pain. How can I trust the fragments of a past I've long abandoned?" The whisper of the house pulsed again, echoing her uncertainties, yet in the cocoon of our trembling breaths, I could feel a slow wave of warmth permeating the darkness. "You have to confront the stories you buried," the figure said, her voice trembling but undeniably powerful. "Only then can you unlock the power within that remains dormant." A whirring silence lingered, pregnant with realization. Elizabeth's own twin shimmered with potential, beckoning her to reach within. I stepped closer to her side, feeling the weight of her turmoil intertwining with an urgency I couldn't ignore. "You're not just facing your past," I reminded her gently. "You're navigating all the pieces that make you whole. We're here with you." Her hand trembled as she reached toward the figure, uncertainty painting her features, yet determination sparked a flicker in her eyes. "I have to know," she whispered to herself as much as to the shadow. "I release you, I release us from the chains of fear." And in that moment, walls built high over years crumbled away, leaving room for something transformative. The shadows began to shift, intertwining like a tapestry of memories past and present merging as a warm heartbeat resonating through the air. I held my breath, unnerved yet captivated, watching the power of choice embrace Elizabeth. "Help me, help us," the figure echoed, and the air vibrated with a resonance that stirred my very core. "Together, we can rise." Tears flooded Elizabeth's eyes, spilling over like rivers of lost years, and I felt compelled to reach for her, grounding her amidst chaos. "Together we will always face the dawn," I promised, allowing the warmth of those words to cradle us. As our fingers intertwined, a swirling light enveloped us, illuminating abandoned corners filled with long-buried secrets. The air transformed, breathing in new life as a kaleidoscope of feelings washed over us, a melody of humanity's intrinsic essence mingling with ancestral voices. Breathing life into forgotten stories, at last, pieces of Elizabeth's heart were nestled together, uniting her fractured identity. With a unifying strength, Elizabeth's twins stepped forward, their forms shimmering. "You are more than your fears. You are love. You are light, and you can guide others back to their own hearts." A new resolve flowed through Elizabeth, her voice enveloped in waves of healing. "You're right. I cannot run. Not anymore." And as she raised her chin, her fierce spirit igniting with fierce clarity, we stood together, steadfast against a world that may rise to meet us. Suddenly, the hidden door behind the altar within the darkness burst open. The others stood tightly packed in the shadows, eyes wide with rapt wonder. I realized this had become not just a journey for Elizabeth, but a mission for the collective, an opportunity to embark on a quest to reshuffle our fragments into a stronger bond. Together we stepped through the opening, healing hearts joining in volatile harmony, the past no longer a confinement, but a fading echo promising rebirth. Outside, dawn bathed the world in vibrant hues, the sun spilling its golden embrace over everything once obscured by shadow. And somewhere deep within my soul ignited the realization that life, with its beauty and its heartaches, crafted a story worth living. As Elizabeth turned, looking out at the horizon, I felt a spark form between us, a bridge forged in shared experience, each heartbeat synchronizing into the dawn. "Let this be our new beginning," I whispered, but the finality hung in the air gently. "Let us rise, now and always, together." And with those words, the world opened up, luminous hope threading through the slightest of spaces, a promise that everything we sought was out there just waiting for us to manifest it, a future bound not by fear, but by love. We would walk into eternity, hand in hand, the past lighting the path forward. The last remnants of darkness faded, revealing the kaleidoscope of life, a journey worth all the pain that had led us to this breathtaking moment. The weight of the past lay gently behind us, like footsteps in the sand, as we stepped fully into a world woven in the light of possibility. "Together," I said, "we will find ourselves in this beautiful mess we've made of life." As if the universe itself resonated with our declaration, the golden horizon beckoned, filled with promise, a memory now painted in hues of hope, ready to unfold.